if you watched last week's video, you'd know that I was wearing exactly the same clothes, and I told you that I'm literally just filming one after the other. I'm on like a little bit of a filming spree. It's been a while since I had the motivation and the creativity, or the, I don't even know what the word is, the oomph to film videos again, and today I had that spark, so I'm just grabbing it by the balls. Anyway, today's video is one that I actually get asked about quite a bit, because I don't really, no, actually, I get it. It's actually like really difficult, and it's basically around like, how do we talk, whoa, oh my God, I thought my camera was gonna fall off then. How do we talk to people about the fact that we have HIA, whether that's in like dating, or whether that's with family, or whether that's with friends, or whether that's with like fitness, like running groups, if you're part of them. Like, it can be really, really difficult, and because it's the menstrual cycle, and because it's female health, and because it's not spoken about at all, it's really hard to know how to approach it, right? Because you're like, it's a very taboo subject anyway, so if someone's really uncomfortable about it and you just come out with it, I don't know, it can be a minefield. But I would just really, really, really encourage you to own it. There are obviously, I would say, like, if you walked up to someone and was just like randomly wearing, by the way, I don't get my period, it can be a bit weird. I'm not suggesting that at all, but what I am suggesting is that if it just naturally comes up into conversation, like, oh, like, okay, let's break this down. Let's start with dating. So for me, I've always found it really easy because I chat about it on the internet. So if I start talking to someone, naturally that's going to come up. 9 times out of 10, everyone's going to follow you on Instagram anyway, aren't they? And quite very, very quickly, they're going to realise what I talk about. And I would say, so yeah, so I've always found that pretty easy, but I would also say, like, it's a way, like, fitness and health and stuff like that can easily come up in conversation. Like, oh, do you play any sport? Do you like go to the gym or anything? And when that comes up in conversation, you can say like, oh yeah, at the moment I'm taking like a bit of time off, or like, I'm really into running, but I'm having to stop for a moment because I'm just having a bit of issue with my hormones. I basically went like a little bit too far with it, and it sort of messed my hormones up. You can keep it really casual like that. Or I would say, like, you can go in and make a bit of a joke out of it. I quite like making a bit of a joke out of it. I basically am just like, yeah, I was really into the gym. I basically did like too many burpees and like got a little bit obsessed with it, and took it a little bit too far, and now I don't have my period. And 9 times out of 10, I think if they're good people, the conversation will allow, and they'll be like, what, really? Like, why does that matter? And then you can sort of like tell them a little bit about it. If they aren't that open, I can't really help you, because I wouldn't really entertain people like that. If you're talking to me, then like, yeah, like the sort of people that I guess I'm into are really open-minded. So I don't know, if they're not open-minded, then I think you can make that judgment about how you then go on about it. But I do think that you need, at a time like this, we really need to like meet ourselves where we are. And I think like sort of like being true about our voice, and being like truthful about what we're going through. And don't get me wrong, you don't have to offload them and suddenly be like, oh, and I'm going through this, because that will fully freak them out. But you can just be like really open with it, really casual with it, and just like really factual about it. Just saying like, yeah, like I basically just sort of like didn't fuel properly and was just exercising loads, and it just meant that my hormones messed up and now I can't really have a period. But obviously, like, it's really important for a girl to be able, like, to have a healthy menstrual cycle, because it can cause problems in the future and stuff like that. And like, you know, you can just be really casual about it. You don't need to go into details. If they then pry and like then ask you a little bit more, depending on how comfortable you are, you can then answer it, or you can just like keep it really, really blanket. I have actually found so much worth in discussing it with guys, especially. Now, obviously, I know like you might be into same sex or whatever you're into, but for me personally, I'm heterosexual, so I have found it really helpful and worthwhile conversation having it with guys. I really enjoy chatting to it about guys, because we know, us girls, we know what a period's like, whereas guys have no idea. So if I can then educate and like chat about it and make them realise like it's really shit, like it can be like what we go through as women, like with periods, can be really, really hard. And then if you don't have a period, that might come across as if it's something like really, really good, but actually no, it's not. And like, men are quite linear, I would say, and God, I've probably opened myself up for a little bit of targeted, but like us women, like we're meant to fluctuate and stuff like that, and I feel like it can be really beneficial the more like educating others on it. So also, I'm a big believer in like you telling your story. You never know who that's gonna help. I'm such a fan of telling your story and like owning it, because you know they might have a sister that is really sort of like, I don't know, an athlete, or actually goes to the gym probably like a little bit more. Their sister or their cousin or someone might have an eating disorder, and actually like they might not know anything, and it might benefit someone else. So I'm always a big fan of just being open and honest about it. I also think it's worthwhile being open and honest about it, because especially through recovery and with HA, you're not yourself. You know, every time I think about that, I always think of the advert, like, you're not you when you're hungry. Is it Snickers? I think it might be. But you're not you when you're in recovery or when you've got HA. So like, I think you become a better person, but during recovery, like when you're really exhausted, or when you're in HA and you've got like no libido or anything like that, or you know, you are quite up and down with things, that can put quite a bit of intensity on relationships. So I think just the fact that you're open and honest about it is actually going to help you, in my opinion, deepen that relationship as well. And that goes for non-romantic relationships as well. Like that can come with like friendships and stuff like that. So like, for example, a big thing for me was socializing, was the gym for me. Like so many of my best friends were in that gym. I worked out of that gym, and I am grateful in the sense that actually I had lockdown, which meant all the gyms were shut anyway. But when the gym started opening again, suddenly my best mates were going back to the gym and I wasn't, and it's like having to explain that to them. And you know, you are going through so many changes in yourself, and sometimes those relationships will fall away, and sometimes they'll get deeper. Like actually for me, I found like some of my gym friendships have got so much deeper because it's meant we've actually done stuff other than just gym. Like we've gone for coffee, or we've gone for dinner, or something like that, rather than just working out with each other. But being open and honest to them as well about what I was going through. I know, like especially my PT friends, has helped them talk and how they approach their female clients. I know that's benefited them, but also like I said, being open and honest and saying like, this is where I'm at right now, can really help deepen relationships, and being vulnerable in relationships and sort of sharing that journey can really help, I think. When it comes to things like colleges, unis, running groups, that kind of thing, again, I think sharing your story, especially in a fitness environment, can really impact the whole group and can benefit the whole group. I think the more people that know that us women actually do have to be quite careful around our hormones, and that, you know, especially in the running world, like amenorrhea is very, very popular because running's popular, very, very common, I mean, because running's so intense on the body. So sharing your story, I know that I feel like this whole video is basically me saying like, just own it and share your story, but you don't know who else is suffering from that. So when it comes to like first speaking to people, maybe you might want to just tell your loved one, like your really closest loved ones, and your really closest friends, and like your coach maybe, and then you might, the more you feel comfortable about it, you might want to sort of speak to like, you know, a few others, or you might say to your coach like, oh yeah, it's cool to chat about it. But also when it comes to talking about it, especially to family and people like coaches and stuff, people might not know about this. So if you're comfortable, don't share the information until you're really comfortable to talk about it. And also, if you're not that comfortable to talk about it, there are so many resources, or there's starting to become so many more resources that you can just point people to. You can say to like, I don't know, mum or your cousin or whoever, of just saying like, look, this is what I'm going through. I don't really want to talk about it, but here's some things about it. And you know, I'm not going to sit here. I'm actually a big believer of not really making a big deal out of it, because there are some really bad things going on to people, and I think it's as awful as it is, I think this is something that could benefit from people from having support with. I hope that makes sense. Like sharing it isn't something I just feel like is always going to help other people. So yeah, I think overall, I'm blabbering now, overall I would really own it. See yourself where you are. You only have to tell people what you're comfortable with, but you could make a joke out of it, and you could just be really honest, because you don't know who your story is going to help. Like, there are so many people out there that could be suffering from this, or know someone, or know someone of someone that it might just help. And then if you're telling guys, well then I just think the more guys know about the female body, just the better relationships we're gonna have, and just the better time and easier time we're gonna have. So like when a guy turns around and goes, oh, you're a miserable bitch, it's like, yes, because I'm during my period, and that's common because my hormones are everywhere. Or when you're going through recovery, yeah, that's common because your hormones are everywhere. So yeah, own it, I guess. But if you do have any other ideas and tips for other people, please drop them in the comments below, because I'm just a big believer in, like, the more information we can help and share, then, you know, like I said, it's probably going to help someone else. So if you've got any other tips, please drop them in the comments. And yeah, I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in my next one.